So what happens in a mediation anyway? Well, the first thing you do is you're going to have an intake session, each of you individually with the mediator. And in the intake session, the mediator will ask you a number of questions. They'll probably have you fill out an intake form probably before meeting with them. And what the mediator is trying to do is to really gauge, are the two of you good candidates for mediation? Are there any issues that are involved that might prevent you from mediating? And really, what's the dynamic that's happening between the two of you so that the mediator can design a process that will set you up for success in that mediation. So really, it's the mediator reading between the lines, what's going on between the two of you, what are the triggers, what are the hot buttons that we need to be careful about when we're discussing them, what can the mediator do to help guide you along in a positive way. And then after the intake sessions are done, the mediator, if they decide that you are good candidates, in fact, for mediation and that there's nothing preventing you from engaging in a mediation, they'll then set up the actual mediation session. So what happens during the mediation? There you will talk about really the agenda that the two of you set. So if you need to talk about the parenting plan, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about really the nitty-gritty of how this parenting plan is going to work. So what days are the child with one parent versus the days that they're with the other parent? What happens on school holidays? Does the schedule change on school holidays? So summer holidays, Christmas vacation, March vacation, PA days, sick days, etc. What happens when one of you wants to travel with the children? How will that work? How will the process about getting the travel consents signed work? How will updating the passports work? What happens with the health cards? What happens with the social insurance number? All kinds of things, long weekends, what happens on long weekends? What happens with school activities or other extracurricular activities? How are they dealt with? All kinds of topics are dealt with in the parenting plan mediation. Then there are the financials that you have to deal with. So you may be talking about child support and or spousal support. The mediator will go through the calculations with you. They'll talk about, generally there's a range, a low, medium, and high range of the support number, and so they'll facilitate a conversation between the two of you in terms of how the numbers are calculated and what that means for the two of you moving forward. Then you'll probably talk about equalization. So equalization is basically division of property, meaning they will calculate the net worth for each of you, and if one of you has a net worth that's higher than the net worth of the other person, you would then owe that person an equalization payment. And the goal here under family law is really to make the two of you come out equal, so with an equal net worth at the end of the day after that payment has been made. So there's a lot of details involved. This is really just a high-level conversation about how it works, but there's a lot of details involved. So how do you prepare for this mediation? Certainly mentally you need to prepare. It's a negotiation like anything else. It sounds odd to refer to it. I mean, it's your life that you're talking about, but it really is a negotiation. So you want to go in there full of knowledge, knowing exactly what your rights and obligations are under the law. And that involves talking to a lawyer to get that information. And there's all kinds of resources out there. You can certainly touch base with somebody that's in the field and figure out how you can find out the information you need. But you really want to go in armed with the knowledge that you need to have a good negotiation. Because that's where you're really going to get a good settlement, and you're going to know what you're talking about. You're going to know what you're looking for and what your rights are. So that's in terms of preparing in terms of the legals. But what about the financials? So you're going to need to complete financial statements, and the lawyers can prepare that for you. The mediator, depending on their background, like a financial person, can complete those documents for you. But you basically are preparing a financial statement and a net family property statement, which are identifying, again, your net worth compared to your spouse's net worth, and also really your financial situation, your assets, your debt, your income, your expenses, etc. So all of that information is assembled, and then that really speaks to what your financial situation looks like, and then that information is then used to have the financial piece mediated in terms of, does anybody owe anybody support? Does anybody owe anybody an equalization payment? What's going to happen with the matrimonial home? Is somebody going to buy out the other person, or are you going to sell the home? What's the process around selling the home? what's everybody's responsibility in terms of getting the home ready for sale, etc. So there's a lot of details that can get complicated, and that's really why you want a divorce professional helping you through, because you don't want to miss something important. Now, why would you choose mediation over court? There are so many great reasons for choosing mediation. Certainly cost is a big factor. If you consider the hourly rate of a lawyer in your area versus the rate of a mediator, the likelihood is the rate of the mediator will be much less than that of the lawyer. And with the lawyer, multiply by 2, right? Because each of you has a lawyer. Each of you is spending money on legal expenses. But when you use a mediator, you're actually sharing that cost. So really, mediation is a fraction of the cost that you would spend on legal fees. And also you want to think about the fact that with a mediation, you have hired this divorce professional to work specifically with you, to engage with you, discuss your personal family situation and circumstances, and how you can come up with a resolution that suits your family needs. If you go to court, it's the luck of the draw. You don't know what judge you're going to get. You don't know what the perspectives are going to be. Of course, they have to follow the law and what the law says, but there is room for interpretation, and there is room for the opinion of the judge. So, you really never know. It's like playing a game of roulette. You just don't know what the outcome is going to be. So why would you choose that where a perfect stranger is coming up with the solution for your family instead of the two of you coming up with the solution for your family, knowing that obviously if the two of you are in charge, you're going to come up with a much better resolution than some perfect stranger. So, and the other thing with court is it can drag on for years and years. Not only is that draining emotionally and extremely stressful and very time consuming, but financially it is really astronomical, the amount of fees that you will spend as you go through that process, particularly if you get all the way to a trial. Very, very expensive process. In a mediation, the costs are contained because, again, this person you have hired directly to work with you. It's really just a few or a number of mediation sessions, and then it's all done. You're not talking about years. You're talking maybe a couple of months, maybe. And really, the amount of time that it takes is driven by how cooperative you each are with each other. So a couple of things to think about with respect to mediation. It's always a better route to at least try mediation before trying to go to court. Food for thought. Have a great day.